Welcome back, my dear students. So, on this lecture, I want to talk to you a little bit about refactoring. Well, I want to take the opportunity to show you a way that we can refactor our code and make it just a little bit more, I say, flexible, and we're going to have less code and it's just going to work better. Okay, so we're going to be using events. If you notice in our activation controller, we are using the activation email class. And we are doing the same thing in the register controller. Okay, we are using the same class. Now this is not what you want to do when you have two different functionalities, because when you are resending the code, you're supposed to have a resend email. So you will make a resend email class, and also you will make some type of file, some blade file for it. So you would say something like user resend code.blade.php, and then you would create another mail class for that. We're using the same one here, and this is just for demonstration purposes only, but you will, of course, create a different one. Guys, super simple to do. I'm not going to go over how to do it again. Okay? What I'm going to go over is how we can take code that we're using in two different places, basically the same code that we're using in two different places, and how to make it so that we can only use it in one place. Okay, and we're gonna be doing that with events. So for those of you that don't know about events, let me just explain it to you in a very simple manner. So events are classes. Okay, everything is a class here, of course, but basically, let's say you have a whole bunch of functionality down here. Okay, imagine how cluttered this controller would get if you have a lot of code here. So events provide for us a way to get all that code into a class, just like the activation email did. All right, imagine if we had to go ahead and define all this email stuff down here. That would just clutter our controller, but we already have it here. Okay, we only have this here, but imagine if we have to do a whole bunch of things here. Okay, so that these classes actually are a way for us to refactor our code. So that's what events do. So, but they do a little bit more than that, because we can use events to also you know use Pusher or any other third-party application to do live streaming of our data, like like a chat application or some type of live notifications. We can broadcast it to the whole application by using those by using sockets, and events allow us to hook into that. But anyway, that's another different course. So let's actually see how this will work. We will have a event. We could use an event method here or function that's available to us, or we can just use event fire like this, but we will have to include that event facade on top, but we don't want to do that. I want to use the event method, and then we will have to new up that event. So this would be the event name here, and then inside here we will pass the value that we want that event to have in the constructor. So one thing about events is that every event has a listener. Okay, and a listener is just the class that's going to handle all the logic. Okay, so events is just a way for us to abstract our code, and the listener is going to take care of it. But let me show you how we create events. So let me just leave that code there for a minute, and I'm going to just comment that out. There are two ways of actually creating events, or there may be more ways. I haven't checked the documentation. The only two ways that I know are like this. We can come here and we can say PHP artisan make event, and then we just write the event name. In this case, we can call ours activation. You want to give it another name, guys, but activation code event. Enter. Okay, and now if you go here, you can see that that created a new folder. These folders are created when you need them. So we see the event right here. We have a construct. All right, very similar to the mail class, and we get the value. Okay, and I just explained to you that the value would be here. and that will be available in the constructor. We assign it to a property. Of course, we define a property here, and it will be available to the listener. Now, the listener, we don't deal with the listener here. I'll show you in a minute. But now let's create a listener for it. So we come here and we just say listener. Okay, and we just say activation. Let's just call it something else. Send code by email. Okay, and if we do it like this, we're gonna get an error because we need to flag it saying what type of event this is gonna be hooked into. So the event is called activation. I believe it's called activation code event. That was simple. Code event, enter. And now you can see that that folder has been created right here as well. And we can see that that was included in this handle function automatically. And that's what this little flag does. Okay, it creates that there. And then you will also have it up here. So make sure that yours have the same thing as well. Okay, so as you can see in this listener class, we have this event injected into this handle method. The handle method is going to take care of everything, basically sending the email. That's what we're going to be doing now. Okay, so let's go to let's first do the registration. So here, all we do is we say, okay, we want to use an event. We new up that event and we pass in whatever we want to pass in. In this case, we can pass the code, or we can just, you know what, pass the user. Just simple as that. We don't even need to use this guy here. Okay. And we can just get this out of here like that. So when we fire this event, let's go to the event real quick. And here, we just type in that user like this. And let's make the property right here so before we forget. User property. Come back here. We assign that property to that new, well, we assign that value, the object to this property. And now it's going to be available in our listener. Remember the broadcast that I was talking about? This is the, well, if I didn't say it, this will basically hook into like pusher or any sockets there with, so that way you can listen for these channels in JavaScript and you can do some live, like you can create some chat applications. I mean, this is another course entirely that I probably will create, but you can always ask me or check my profile. I'm always creating courses. So maybe that's something that I would do in the future just to show you how it works. But anyway, so now that we have activated, now that we have passed this to the constructor, we have to go to the constructor of the events. Let's go to the listener. And here we're going to paste that mail class that we had. Make sure that you include all this. You look, all these classes need inclusion on top. Okay. Here, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to say event. This event is going to have the user in there. Okay. That's what the event is going to do. There we go. And here, to get the code, we can do event user, and I believe we call that user activation code like this. Simple as that. Make sure that you include this on top as well. Okay, we have written a lot of code and we don't even know if this works, right? So another thing that we have to do is that we have to come to the, show you, to the providers. Come back here, event service provider, and we got to register those two classes. Okay, so let me just get the name real quick from here. So activation code event. Now this way that I'm doing it, guys, is very easy to make a mistake, because right now we can misspell this here and that could create some type of problem. But the other way that I'm going to show you in a minute, it's less error, it's more error proof. Okay, send code by email. Okay, that is the listener, so the event on top and the listener down here. As you can see, this is going to the listeners folder and this is to the events. Okay, that's all we got to do here, nothing else. Now the other way of generating the events and the listeners, and we can do this in one go, is by executing a command called PHP artisan event generate. And the way, and before you do anything, like let's say for example you didn't have these events folders and you didn't have this listeners folder, you were just doing everything from scratch, you would just come straight to the event service provider right here. You type in whatever event you want and whatever listener you want, and then you execute this command, and it's going to create these two folders for you with the listeners already and the event generated automatically. Okay, again, all you have to do is you will have to come to an events service provider right here, write whatever events you want to create and whatever listeners, and then you execute this code and it will create those two folders for you and the classes and everything. That's it. That would be the easier part, but I just wanted to show you the hard part first. Okay, and of course if you needed more events, you will come here and you will of course, you know, get some other events here, so that way you don't get no error, something like that, and as simple as that. And if you wanted more listeners, of course you can just go ahead and create another listener right here for this event. Simple as that. But anyway, I think we're done here. Let's go and check this out to see if it works. So I'm going to check my database now first, make sure I have no jobs, and let's just delete all these users here. Let's delete our emails. I just want to make sure that everything is working 100%. Okay, let's turn this on. Our queue service, artisan queue. You see, I have a huge problem, and I keep saying it. I have a huge. Every time you say I have a problem, that problem is gonna get bigger. Believe me. So PHP artisan queue listen. Let's go and go to our application and register a new user, and come back here. Enter. That's working, and voila, this is working, and this is working. Beautiful. No errors. Gosh, I love errors, and I didn't get any this time, but that's okay. We did good, guys. We did good. If you got any errors, guys, just check your spelling. All right. And let me just recap a little bit. If you understand what we did, welcome. You're welcome to jump to the next lecture. I'm just going to recap because I know that, you know, this is new for some of you. So our register controller here, this is where we're starting to launch our event. We are abstracting that mail class here in our event, and then the listener. Remember, the listener works with the event. So we are firing that event, which is new activation code event, or activation code event, and we're passing the user right here. We're getting the user, we're typing in the user, assigning that value to a property, so it is available every time, everywhere we actually instantiate this class, right? Well, we new up this class, and we are newing up this class in here. We are injecting it in the handle method in the listener. Okay, and then because we're injecting that class, we have that available here. Okay, and we just get the user from there, and we get the code from there, and we send it to this activation email class, which is right here. Okay, right here. And again, you can go ahead and create more email classes or mail classes and separate your code, which I think is better, especially if you're sending different emails. That way you can write something different in your emails and just keep your code separate. But now what you can do is you can come to this event, and wherever you're sending this, let's say if you're sending that right now, this is in registration right here. Okay, so you can come here and you can send that event here as well. You see? And let's check it out real quick. So let's go. Let's register a new person. Let's say Maria. Maria is always in my lecture, guys. Always. She's very fun to be around. And I know that I typed in the wrong password. I try to get different passwords. There we go. It's registered. We get that email, but we're not going to click it. And we're going to try to log in. I know that's against the rules. We'll try to log in. And of course, we got to log in with Maria. If we can get, oh, there we go. Resend the code. That has been resent. Let's see. There we go. See? As simple as that. One event executing in two different places. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next lecture. Hopefully you learn a lot on this one. And let's do it. Take care.